Oof. Wow. Wowie, wow, wow. We're getting into the Red-Headed League part of this, so this ought to be pretty interesting. Let's see what these two witnesses... I had a feeling that they were going to be relevant, because, like, when does Ace Attorney introduce a character that's not relevant? Except for, you know, maybe the jury, but, like... Yeah, did I save? Oh. Yeah, I did, okay. So, back to it. Back to it indeed. Let's go. 2nd November, 12:33 p.m., the Old Bailey Defendant's Antechamber. Oh, there you are, Odo. What kept you, my dear fellow? Hello, Mr. Sholmes, Gina. You sure about what you said in there? Boss, you know, actually died the day before. The art swallow. Yes, I was shocked by the revelation too, Gina. As was I, possibly more shocked than both of you. It's not a competition, Mr. Sholmes. I was thinking the exact same thing. But I was more shocked than all of you. This is the autopsy report in question, is it? Wait. Oh shit, no, not autoplay. Okay. Where's this a simple explanation? Or perhaps it was a deliberate omission. Maybe... who's the coroner? Maria Gori. Oh, of course. Oh dear, if it was deliberate, it puts me in the mind of the last case we worked on, and Dr. Scythe. No. Anyway, it seems that on the day before Lord Van Zeeks discovered his body, Inspector Gregson was investigating the Red-Headed League, so perhaps something happened with him. Come to think of it, you had trouble with those League men too, didn't you, Mr. Sholmes? You were taken in by their trick. No, no, no. Naturally, I wasn't taken in, as you put it. I do not get taken in. Nobody takes in Detective Sholmes. My sleuth-hound interest was merely piqued slightly by the rare scent of a weekly £4 income. And that scent masked the underlying scent of deception, I suppose. The two criminals in question are the pair we saw being arrested yesterday, aren't they? In Mr. Sholmes' suite, I mean. That's right, Suze. And it was me who took him in. Thanks to a tip-off by a good law-abiding citizen. Indeed, yours truly. So it's going to be that pair in the witness stand next, is it? The Italian and the Frenchman? Something doesn't quite make sense to me, though. The day before Inspector Gregson was found, you hadn't had trouble with the Red-Headed League yet, had you? Why would the inspector have been investigating? Well, the likely explanation would be that Gregson's own sleuth-hound interest is piqued by the rare scent of a weekly £4 income. Don't tar him with the same brush as you, Sholmes. Yes, well, then there's a whole issue of Inspector Gregson being investigated by Lord Van Zeeks for some reason. The Reaper, the Red-Headed League, Inspector Gregson, Lord Van Zeeks, and Cosma. I feel as though he knew we'd arrive at this point somehow. Gosh, I think you're right. What's he really trying to achieve here today? All the answers will soon be revealed. Observe the time, my dear fellow. This recess will be over very shortly. Yes, you're right. Cosmo was the one determined that he should be the one to prosecute this trial. And he was determined that I should take the defense. Just what is it he's hoping to make me see, I wonder? I get the feeling we're a long way from the end of this trial yet. Are you ready then, Miss Susato? Yes! Oh, cool. Nobody's gonna call me and be like, hey, hello, the trial is starting again. Get your ass back in here. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session again. We resume the closed court hearing of Baroque Van Zeeks, who, here present, who stands accused of murder. Now then, Prosecutor Asogi. My lord. Have you summoned the witnesses as requested? Yes, the two members of the Red-Headed League planned and carried out the deception. They arrived not long ago from the local prison by police carriage. Very good. Bailiff, usher the two men into the courtroom. These two men are currently being held by the police on a suspicion of attempted extortion. You may omit your occupation, but state your names now for the court. I am Fabien de Rousseau, a descendant of the great Rousseau family from Nice en France. And my name is Pino de Rossi. I am the third son of the great Familia de Rossi, the landowners from Napoli. The two men first became acquainted at a boarding school for European nobility. Those who graduate from Temsic are the future leaders of Europe. But do you have any idea how boring it is to be born with noble blood? Alors, I make it my mission to get the better of the world by employing the little grey cells of my brain. That is all I am trying to do, huh? So, that's the only reason for this whole grand deception you've been carrying out? Oui, you could say that. Not bad, eh? He has the grand ideals, but the petty plans. Strange combination is the charm of the hilarious brothers. Si capo? Oh, I get it. Their last names are both of red. Listen to me, Peppino. I have two things to say to you. Eh? Che, are you about to tell me one of your grandy anecdotes, Viva? How did they make your in the movies? How did they make your face a little big with the popcorn and the butter, and how and why and how? Well, that's a lot to answer. Oh, sorry. Firstly, I want you to stop calling me this capo. And secondly, we are not the hilarious brothers. This is serious business. Cepello, there it is, the capo's trump card, the furrowed brow. It is deep, huh, capo? The furrow and the meaning of your words. This court has been led to believe that under the banner of the Red-Headed League, you have conspired to swindle money from unsuspecting members of the public. Is this true? Oui, c'est ça. And what exactly was the nature of this deception by which you planned to defraud? Alors, I will explain it. No, capo. Leave it to me. As you see, we both have the vivid red hair, no? At school we were teased for this without a pity. The capo here, he was how old is this child? Huh? Huh? Lord Almighty. He was a many times behind at the schoolhouse crying like the Trevi fountain. Oh, those dogs. One day the world will respect us redheads. Every night he would have buried his head in his pillow and weep for the injustice. C'est bien, Peppino. Enough. I will explain the rest. The first step was the newspaper advertisement. About 1 week before the plan was put into operation, we listed the same notice in every paper in London. Yes, we saw that notice. It was this one, I believe, entitled to the Red-Headed League. Oui, c'est ça. I am honored that you have seen it. States that the only condition for joining the league is having flame-colored hair, and that if you satisfy the interview panel and are admitted into the league, you could receive a weekly income of £4. On the date specified, red-headed hopefuls gathered in droves at a park specified in the advertisement. And from each person present, this pair took an application fee of 5 shillings. And with the money to France, it was a plan most elegant, no? No, it was most dishonorable. But to be frank, I'm stunned anybody was foolish enough to be taken in by such an obvious trick. The park was described by one witness as choked with red-headed folk, like a coaster's orange barrow. And the day on which all these men gathered to apply was the day before the victim was discovered. Crucially, these two men spoke face-to-face with every single person present that day. Oui, I have seen more red-headed people in one day than I will see in the rest of my life. See. And then now, every time I see the capo's hair, I feel sick to my stomach. Anyway, why have we been summoned here today? Sorry? The date for our trial was not until tomorrow, I was told. Naturally, neither of these men have been told any details about this trial. They've only been shown this photograph. Very good. So, Mr. DeRusso and Mr. DeRossi, you will now give your formal testimony for the court on the subject of the gentleman pictured in this photograph. Of course, we are always ready to help with the law, except when you're breaking it. He looks like Florent LaBelle in his profile picture. His mugshot. We had more than 1,000 red-headed people assembled in the park on Lime Street that day. But I don't recall the man in this photograph, Capo? No, I don't remember him. Obviously, he's dead now. But I assure you, he was not in the park. Allora, this victim is nothing to do with us. You have a lot to answer for, Peppino. It is your fault that we got caught in the first place. You've given sworn testimony that the man in the photograph was not present. Can you be certain? Oui, I am quite certain. We did not interview this man. Nobody looking like this came to the park. This I cannot promise. It must be noted that you have been arrested for a grand deception, however. Accordingly, this court has little confidence in your assurance. Oppa, with this attitude we get to nowhere, huh? He's really a sulking now. Oh, Ryu, you crack me up. Oh my god, I love this guy. This confidential document was obtained directly from Scotland Yard. It records an entry from the inspector's private diary dated before the incident. It reads, Lime Street, Red-Headed League, undercover. Ah, I have the answer. Maybe there was another similar event in the park on the day in question, eh? That is ridiculous. There's no question that Inspector Gregson was investigating the Red-Headed League, which means it's quite possible that's when he was killed. Very well, the defense may proceed with the cross-examination now. Ah, yes, my lord. Good night, Blue. Take care. Have a good night. Thanks for stopping by. You know I appreciate ya. The man in the photograph.
Hold it!
1,000 people? That's a very big crowd. It was quite a spectacle. Redheads had come from all over the capital. See, the capo here. He has the magnetismo animale, yeah? Hey? Nobody else could attract so many people. If I could be born again, I would be the capo. All those people wanted was the money, Peppino. The 4 pounds per week. Are you suggesting that you spoke personally with all 1,000 applicants? Oui, is that we did? Because every one of them paid us 5 shillings. We take their names and we take their money and we take their addresses as well. Then I tell them that we take some days to let them know by a post of infinito, maybe 2 minuti a person. We start early in the morning and we stop late in the night. So you earned 5,000 shillings in one day? That's a fortune. Who would have thought there were 1,000 such gullible redheads in London to start with? One of whom was a great detective with chemically altered hair. But I don't know.
Hold it!
He doesn't look at all familiar. No, I don't think so, and this is a way guy. He was trying to trick us. I do not like the people who are trying to trick the other people, says the con artist. In between them, they interviewed 1,000 people with red hair. It'd be unreasonable to expect them to remember every face. No, signore, I may be a small, but my memory is very large. I never forget a thing. In my opinion, I do not think this man was in the park. It's not going to give the court a definite, it seems. Hey, Capo, you didn't see a man like this, huh?
Hold it!
But according to what you said, you spoke with 1,000 or more people that day. Oui, that's true. My eyes were burning by the end of the day. Surely then you can't actually remember every single face. Are you so certain that this particular man wasn't present? Normally the red hair is a very distinctive, huh? But not when you have a 1,000 red heads crowding around, then this is just an eyesore. But if there was some other information you could give us, then maybe we would recall. That is not the line, Peppino. Remember, we do not remember him. We are sure of that fact, huh? There was a man with a red hairpiece, but his mustache should not match the color. Then I do not think I could have forgotten him. Kazuma said that these two had only been shown that photograph and they'd been told nothing else at all. What if I fed them? Maybe the fish and chips? I can certainly appreciate this, knowing the man had red hair wouldn't help you remember in his situation. What if I told you the man was also munching on a packet of fish and chips? You remember a man who was eating incessantly? Not really, I was only looking at the heads of the applicants. I wouldn't have noticed the fish and chips anymore since the caviar and smoked salmon. Or spaghetti, me, I love spaghetti. Really? I had no idea. Tell them again what you said before, Peppino. Si, capo, si, I will say it again and again.
Hold it!
Maybe, well, Sholmes did apparently tell them he was a detective, so... Was actually a detective. The man is a photograph, a detective? Yes. It would appear he found your notice in the paper suspicious and decided to investigate incognito. Sorry, but it's a change. Sorry, but this changes nothing. Okay, Peppino, come on. Something to add, Mr. De Rossi? See, I am always adding something. Parmesan, olive oil, pepper. What I mean is, did you not agree with your friend's last remark by any chance? Eh? Well, what did you just say about the detective? Yes, that. Keep your mouth shut, Peppino. You have said enough already. But why, Capo? What is the problem? There was a man who said, I am an inspector from a Scotland Yard. What? Good lord. Why would he say that, though? That doesn't make any sense. Order. Explain this vote-face in your testimony, witness. He's simple. A man who was at the park said to us he was an inspector. There was no such man. Madai, what are you saying, Capo? Have you forgotten, eh? I have forgotten nothing. Nobody likes these games to the power. Basta, Capo, basta. You beat me at many things, but not two. The memory and the meals. Like I said, when it is time to eat the pasta, no one is faster. But you are inferior to me in every other way, so shut up.
Objection!
The damage is done. Indeed it is, sir. Oui, there was a man who came to the park and said he was an inspector from Scotland Yard. However, he looked nothing like the man in the photograph. He was someone else. How can you be so sure? Because, to start with, his face was completely different. See, it's true. The man who came was a younger. His face was clean shaven, his eyes were sadder, his chin was thinner. No resemblance whatsoever then. Anyway, I was not going to be fooled. I took the obvious precaution and said to... Anyway, I was not going to be fooled. I took the obvious precaution and said to you, if you are really a detective, so is the proof. See, the couple here, he doesn't take no nonsense, eh? But he was well prepared. He said he had identification. Identification? Identification? You mean official police inspector's identification? That is most unconvincing. Sorry, my lord? Counsel, no incognito inspector would offer his identification for inspection. It's quite out of the question. Definitely. Why would he expose his true identity? Clearly the papers were fake. Detto Capo, you are a genius. As we say in Italia, it takes a thief to recognize another, eh? And what happened after he announced he was a detective? He became very annoying. He said, you are under investigation. So I took his papers from him and chased him out of the bar. It was fantastico. And look, here is the identification. So you stole it from the man? He had it coming. He made us very scared. But he was not who he said he was. Indeed, the person described is not to appear. Yes. However, I believe it would be prudent for these identification papers to be entered into evidence. But I like them. First, I need to actually read what this says. Undo the clasp. Well, I suppose we can... I can't read this. Yes, it definitely looks fake, doesn't it? Out of interest, what name is given? Probably something just plucked out of the air. Tobias, wait, what? The Scotland Yard insignia looks genuine to me. But how? And the department and identification of their details are all correct as well. Since when have you known the host? Do you mean to say? I know it seems incredible, but yes, I think this is a genuine identification book issued by Scotland Yard. But that's unbelievable. This is the real thing after all? Oh my god, are you serious?
Objection!
There we go. There we go. I wonder if I could ask you to examine this identification book very closely. Miss Lestrade? Why Miss Lestrade? What is your intention here, Counsel? Is this really a fake, or is it genuine? That's the question, which we can't answer.
Objection!
Don't be ridiculous. No Scotland Yard detective would allow his, or her, identification to be stolen. That is the boss's. No question about it. It can't be. As I suspected, the undercover detective who attended the Red-Headed League's enrollment on the day in question was the real Inspector Greggs carrying out an incognito investigation. Zut alors! Order! But if the boss had his identification stolen, he would have reported it straight away. I mean, he was always on me about it. If you lose some, report it at once, he'd say. Could be then. That the inspector was physically unable to report it. Physically, what are you saying? Unable to, you're not suggesting. Yes, it's quite possible that he was killed before he had the chance to report his identification stolen. Oh. Order! The defense posits that the victim was killed the day before his body was discovered, at a different location. Do you two have anything to say about that? I know nothing. I done nothing. Oh my god, that's so annoying. Pull yourself together, Peppino. Mon Dieu, you can behave a little more like a master criminal than that, no? Now I wish I had a return to Italia. Stop crying, Peppino, please. Otherwise, Lume, stop your whining and start talking. Oh. Well, I believe the court will need to hear your story in considerably greater detail. I know nothing. I done nothing. But you will tell everything or face the worst possible outcome. You will dry your eyes and testify again about these identification papers and the precise circumstances in which you came by them. For crying out loud. The truth is, we took him prisoner and kept him for the night at our secret hideout. Even though I didn't think he was a real detective, I was too scared to let him go that day, just in case. We took the man's identification from him and shot him in the room next to ours. There might have been a little tussle, but we did him no harm, and in the next moment we let him go. He spent the night in a nicer room. It was nothing like a prison, really. This is outrageous. You imprisoned the man? But no. It was not like a prison. It was a very comfortable and calm and happy. It was never part of my plan, I swear it. So you think it was my fault, eh? Just because I got the day to the ferry wrong, just by one little day. I do not think it was your fault, Peppino. I know it. No, per favore, capo. It is not fair. You shall have plenty of time for squabbling back the prison, gentlemen. Oh, I don't believe this. How could he have been a real detective? Counsel for the defense, proceed with the cross-examination. On the day before the incident, Gregson spent the night confined in this pair's hideout. The heck?
Hold it!
Let's do it. Do you realize what you're saying? You have to believe me. I never intended for that to happen. I'm sure the detective not intended either. You think? But there was nothing else I could do? See, nothing else. This was the first time for the capo, first crime for the capo. He was at the end of his weeks. I told you before, Peppino, that is not the way to describe a criminal mastermind. What about this hideout of yours? An old empty house behind the park on Lime Street. We rented the place for 2 days. It was an inspired idea by the capo here. An impulsive idea, I would say. No, not impulsive. Inspired, eh, capo? What am I supposed to say to that, Peppino? And it was the house described that you can find Inspector Gregson, was it? Please don't tell me it was the Garadev's house. That'd be so funny. Ugh, but you have to remember, I was under the impression that he was a pretender, not a real inspector. That doesn't quite add up, though. If you didn't think the man was a real inspector, there would have been no reason to take him prisoner, would there? No, you are right. But we couldn't be completely certain. Even though I didn't think he was a real detective, I was too scared to let him go that day, just in case. Oh shit, I did it again.
Hold it!
Too scared, why? Because why had he come to the park? We didn't know. There was a chance he had seen through my plan. And if that wasn't the case, he would go straight to the police station to blow the whistle on us. Even if it was just a feigning to be an inspector, he was up to no good, huh? Without a doubt, huh? I think most people that would agree that it was you two who were up to no good. Well, see, you may be right, Cap, Cap. The point is, we were not able to escape from England immediately. That is why we had no choice but to take the man prisoner. What I don't understand is why the inspector felt the need to show you his identification in the first place. See, I asked myself the same question. We were writing down the names and the addresses of all the people we took 5 shillings from that day. I've forgotten what name he said, but the address itself. See, address. Scotland Yard, Homicide Division. Scotland Yard, Homicide Division, he said. What? He probably didn't like your face, Peppino. Anyway, I was not rude. I just politely asked him why he had said it. And that's when he started to say he was an inspector. Not long after, else he took out his identification. Identification. What was Inspector Gregson playing at? Tell the court what happened next. You took him back to your hideout, you say? See, we did it.
Hold it!
That being his identification book here, correct? See, that is the one. What made you believe that it was a forgery? I never seen a real one, of course. But he was so suspicious, this man. Allora, I was thinking it must be falso. Eh, Cap? Oui, it is just as Peppino said. We were convinced it was not genuine. And so together, the hilarious brothers, we took the man captive. All we did was shove him inside a locked room. Then we made preparation to transport all of the money. In for a penny, in for a pound.
Hold it!
What do you mean by a little tussle exactly? Boss, it was nothing. Just a man accident. The falso inspector, he was a real piece of the work. Right, Capo? What happened? It was a disaster. We give him a nice room, and what does he do, huh? In the middle of the night, he tries to escape to the ventilatore. Can you blame him? We chased him, bien sûr, and we got him again. And can you blame us? Wait, you didn't shoot the man in your haste, did you? Shoot, who do you think we are? Of course not. I simply caught all of him again and took him back to the room. I cannot believe this man is 25 years old.
Excuse me.
Mr. De Rossi, is something wrong? Me? Something Mr. DeRusso just said seemed to make you, seemed to make you act even more strangely than usual. What was that all about? Cavolo, at times like that, you don't want to have the capo after you, believe me. And I speak from a personal experience. Personal experience? That is enough, Peppino. There is no need to say more. The truth is, the night before we put the Red-Headed League plan into action, I was scared. It was not fair to the capo, but I tried to run away. It's a shame you didn't manage it. But the capo here, he came after me like a turbine, and he dragged me back to the house, kicking and screaming. I still have the bruises to prove it, capo?
Bruises, you say?
Ah, you wanna see, huh? You wanna see my fantastical bruise?
That's enough now, Peppino. No one wants to look at any part of you.
What to do, huh? I assure you or I don't. I assure you or I don't.
You do, now!
Allora, if everybody wants to see, then I do it. Ecco, you see, it's very visible, eh? That red ring around your neck? You got that when you were dragged back to the house? See, the capo, sometimes they're very rough around. I said that's enough. He is very attractive, yes. Peppino's neck is nothing to do with what we are talking about here. You have my well.
Yes, what is your opinion, Counsel?
About the red ring on Mr. Dwell. It does matter, because another guy has something just like it, I think. Mr. De Rossi, I'm gonna have to ask you to amend your testimony with details about that mark on your neck. Hi, Capo, you see? Everyone is interested in what I say, huh?
Ugh.
I can't get over the fact that the little one is 25 years old. I thought it was a child. Yes. See, if you really want us to know. I don't see any red ring around his neck.
Objection.
Or maybe I do. So the day before his body was discovered, Inspector Gregson was taken prisoner while working incognito. No, it was not like that. It was out there prison. It was an invitation to stay. It was only. However you describe it, there's one glaring inconsistency that remains.
What inconsistency is this, Counsel?
I would ask the court to look closely at this photograph of the victim, Inspector Gregson. You will see there's no red ring visible around his neck. Yeah, but that makes no sense. It was me who took the collar off the man in the morning, and I saw the red bruises on his neck, just like I had. Given that the mark is still clearly visible on this witness's neck, we expect to see the bruising on the victim, who's put in the collar more recently than Mr. De Rossi.
Indeed, that is most peculiar.
But what we tell you, huh? We said this from the beginning many times.
Peppino is right, the man is a photograph. He is someone different to the man that we held captive that night. Order!
It would appear then that on the day before the incident, the man who visited the park on Lime Street posing as an incognito inspector. Oh, what? Was not Inspector Gregson at all. Oh, it was my dude Gossip, I think. If that's true, however, how do you explain the inspector's identification? This is a genuine identification book issued by Scotland Yard. It's inconceivable that someone could have stolen such an important item from the inspector. The prosecution made that assertion itself. And we also know that the inspector had made a note about the Red-Headed League in his diary for that day, which surely means that we can't divorce the two events completely. Well, no, that doesn't make any— what?
The inconsistency noted by the defense is most troubling. If it were the real Inspector Gregson whom these two red-headed gentlemen encountered, the fact that no bruising can be seen around his neck defies explanation.
But equally, if they actually encountered an imposter, how did that person come to be in possession of the real inspector's identification?
Does the defense have some plausible explanation, counsel?
The whole thing defies explanation. It is for precisely these occasions that we keep meticulous notes in the court record, Mr. Naruhodo. Because those are facts, and the facts cannot lie. No, the facts can't lie. Even when they point to something so incredible, it's almost unbelievable. Very, very tantalizing, Mr. Naruhodo. So why don't you help us all to see whatever truth it is that you've apparently seen? An imposter? Though it seems sus, I admit, the undeniable facts point to only one thing. Since no bruising can be seen on the victim's neck, the person who these two red-headed men took prisoner that day cannot have been Inspector Gregson. In other words, your whole argument up to now has been a waste of time.
Objection!
On the contrary, I haven't finished. What? There's no bruising on the victim's neck, so the question immediately posed next is, who exactly was this man in the park on Lime Street found to be carrying Inspector Gregson's identification? See, that's right. We tell the same story every time. Whoever this man was, the capo dragged him from the pillar to a post with a dog collaring. Oh, Dieu, Peppino, I was not so harsh as you say, huh? So who was that the false inspector, eh? Clearly, the defense has an idea about that. About the true identity of the man who these two imprisoned that night.
Yes, I must ask the counsel for the defense to elaborate post haste. Post haste.
Take that!
Goodness me, isn't that?
One of the witnesses who was in the stand this very courtroom earlier today, a nameless man whose only occupation appears to be peddling hearsay to passers-by. What on earth would a street seller be doing with a police inspector's identification papers? Witnesses, is this the man or not? What does happen to his lip, huh? See, this man is not for the red-headed league, huh? He's looking for the twisted lip league, no? Perhaps rather than making such a rash claim, next time you should bite your lip instead. It seems improbable, yes, but one undeniable fact remains. During his testimony earlier, I noticed something around the man's neck, a red ring of bruising. Eh? What? The defense demands that Mr. Gossip be brought back to the stand.
Order, bailiff. Smack his nuts. Bring the aforementioned witness back into the courtroom and smack his nuts immediately. Well, I never. An undeniable ring of bruising indeed, and identical to that of the witness beside him.
Now what's going on here, eh? I've always had this meat. It's a birthmark, isn't it? A birthmark, you say? I assume the reason you've been recalled to the stand has been explained to you. Hey, something about an inspector again? But I'm telling you, you got it all wrong as usual. You got it all wrong as usual. Okay, here we go. Oh, that's what it was. Well, of course I am. Are you trying to kill me with all the nonsense, eh? Well, at least you'll have more stories to peddle back on Fresno Street, won't you? Now, we're going to need you to testify again. And you, Mr. DeRusso and Mr. DeRossi, I'm sure you'll cooperate, won't you? Do we have any choice? We are in a big trouble, eh, Capo?
That's quite enough dilatory chatter. Proceed with the testimony.
The man who claimed to be an inspector that day was definitely not this man. He's right, see? You think would I forget those grand lips, huh? I never leave Fresno Street, alright? I've no interest in any red-headed league. I'm all alone in the world, me. I have no kinfolk and nothing. Why would I be involved in something like that? Just look at me, huh? Does it look like I could carry off a disguise with a face like this?
It certainly appears that we have the wrong man.
What have I been telling you, huh? There was no need for this pointless testimony.
Ugh.
That's right, I'm just a simple peddler, remember? Fed in the streets, all I know. How would I come by a police inspector's identification book, huh?
Well, yes, that's hard to explain, but...
A brief cross-examination, I think, counsel. Very brief. And then you and the prosecution counsel can go show each other your briefs later.
Isn't there anyone in this courtroom who thinks I might be on the hunting? I stand steadfastly at your side as always, Mr. Naruhodo.
Hold it!
So you say, but how can you be quite so certain? There is no need to elk your hands on the desk, monsieur. Surely the reason is obvious, no? Because I have never before seen lips like this. Nevertheless, there's a clear red marker on Mr. Gossip's neck, and it looks very much like that left behind on the neck of your colleague by your prize collar. Mon Dieu, with your words it is like you try to bring my neck. It does look very much like my neck, don't you?
No, this is a birthmark, lad. The biggest lips in London and a neck to die for. Ah, they broke the mold when they made me.
That was the first time in my life. I feel lucky to have been born with red hair. And I thought being Japanese made you stand out in London. So you maintain that you've never seen this man before?
Oui, c'est ça. I swear to it by the flames of my hair.
So fierce pride has outgrown the frustration with your hair now, has it? He's right, see, you think we were— oh.
Hold it!
Well, yes, I don't imagine I'll forget those lips in a hurry, either. That is what I am saying. For some reason, it made me want to eat, how did the Fabian call it, an eclair. You know, I've never seen the hair as black as yours either before. Likewise, I'd never seen red hair like yours until I came to Britain. See, maybe it is a nationality trait, huh? Maybe all of the people from this immense country have a grand lips.
No, lad, I was born right here on Fresno Street and I've never left.
Oh, fuck, that is the problem, see? You definitely didn't go to the park on Lime Street that day, Mr. Gossip?
Now, how many times do you want me to say it, huh?
Hold it!
So, you'd heard of the Red-Headed League, had you?
You don't get a name like Gossip for nothing, man. It's my business to know what's going off in town. I sold that tasty tidbit to a fair few redheads that came past me. Just between us, I even got sandwich to cough up for it.
Well, he does have a very red nose, if that counts. Who knows?
But as you can see, my own has not got a hint of red in it. In any case, Fresno Street's my patch. You won't catch me sidling off
So.
by the town. No sir, not likely.
What is
Excuse
it?
me.
Mr. de Rousseau. Monsieur de Rousseau. Ugh. Oui? Can I help you? Did Mr. Gossip's words just now lead you to remember something relevant, perhaps? It was the other day when I was looking for a place near the park, a small house or something. To be the headquarters of your Red-Headed League, yes. I visited an housing agent on Lime Street, and there I saw him. This man was paying money to the agent.
What?
Mr. Gossip with a housing agent?
Oui. He had some kind of contract in his hand and they were clearly discussing terms. But no, you're mistaken, chum. I've never left Fresno Street, me. Like I said before, you're mistaking me for someone else, someone with the same face.
No, the Gap was right. I remember it too. He was paying the man with the banknote.
No, with notes. Like I said, that wasn't me. Honey came in and she caught me red-handed banging on the bathroom floor. It wasn't me.
I was curious why this man with the dirty clothes had so much money. So I looked at the name on the papers. What name was written? Mr. Gossip? No, this man, he lies. He tells you that he has a no name. But in fact, his name is a Hugh Boone, huh? Oh my god, you're Hugh Boone? You rent that? Oh my god. He's better than Mr. Gossip, I think so. No.
No!
Oh my god, you've got to be kidding me.
I'm a peddler of tidbits of information, like I said, on Fresno Street. That. I don't much like folk talking about my personal life.
Indeed, and it is not the intention of the court to invade the privacy of witnesses. Very well, I shall respect your wishes, sir. The aforementioned name shall be redacted from all court records and stuff.
Yeah, that's right. I'm sorry, my lord, but the defense does object. Because the name just mentioned has a very deep significance to this case.
Gracious. Do you similarly object, Prosecutor Asoki?
As it happens, my lord, that particular name has already been mentioned today during today's proceedings.
Well, I never. In what capacity?
Hugh Boone, the name of the leaseholder of the room. Let me put this very simply. The victim's body was discovered in your rented room. I suggest, sir, that you start talking. Well,
Alright. I suppose that might be the case, eh?
so your real name is Hugh Boone?
Well, just between us. I don't like to blow me own trumpet, but there's no finely peddler of tidbits in town. So I happen to be able to afford a grubby little room in a fallen down back street townhouse.
You do?
And once every 6 months I go and pay the rent to the agent on Line Street. I remember now. There were 2 vulgar redheads in there last time.
Aye, if either of us is a vulgar, it's not a me.
Sink again, baby, no.
Why didn't you bring this up before?
It's like I told you already. I don't like talking about my personal life. I'm a tidbit peddler as far as everyone else is concerned, no fuss.
You will update your testimony to include this most surprising revelation, Mr. Boone.
If I must.
So the leaseholder Scotland Yard has been looking for since the body was discovered has been here under our noses all along. Doesn't that make this his room? So that his notice board?
Objection!
No, it's not that.
Hold it!
So, you live in that room presumably, do you?
No, I don't live there. What do you think? There's no bed, is there? Just a desk.
Then why would you want to rent it?
Well, I don't think I should have to say, really.
Then how about the notice board in there? Okay. Which was covered from top to bottom in confidential documents only the police should have had access to.
No, that board's not mine. The inspector must have brought it along. The only other bits and bobs that belong... It's only the other bits and bobs that belong to me. The desk and the chair and all that.
People don't generally carry enormous notice boards around with them. The real question is, why was Inspector Gregson killed there in your room?
Well, obviously, I'm not the faintest idea. I mean, it's causing me no end of bother, to be honest.
Seems to me that Mr. Boone would rather as little is known about his room as possible for some reason. Yes, it does come across that way, and more importantly, knowing that the scene of the crime is actually his room completely changes things. In particular, there's one part of his testimony that's really bothering me now. That's how I'm finally going to undo this man. Maybe I have to... Wait a minute. Why, this was in there. Are you? No.
Objection!
Oh, maybe I hit the wrong statement. I think this is it. Oh, okay, maybe this is it, this is it. Because he's talking about kinfolk and shit.
Objection!
There we go. If you have no kinfolk, as you put it, then explain why is it that among the Space Force furnishings, we found this photograph in the room. Ah. I presume, as you've been renting the room, that this photograph belongs to you, does it not?
Oh, well.
Oh good, we get that muted pursuit theme now. Mr. Boone, drop the pretense and tell the court exactly who you really are.
I don't know what you mean. I'm a peddler. I keep telling you so. You really don't need to bother with me. Please, just leave it alone.
As the man says, leave it alone. Whatever the truth is about this man's life, it has no bearing on the case. Because it's simply not possible that he impersonated Inspector Grayson. How can you be so sure? Just look at the man. No amount of disguise could ever hide those unmissable features. But what if we were to look at this the other way around? What do you mean?
Yes, Counsel, what do you mean?
Well, there's no denying that Mr. Boone's lip is very prominent indeed. But consider the possibility that the prominent lip is itself part of an elaborate disguise.
Eh?
Then hiding that prominent feature, in other words, revealing his true face, would make an utterly impenetrable disguise. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Hugh Boone? Oh, that was a good fade-in.
Witness, are you still hiding the truth from this court?
If that's a disguise, then underneath it, his true identity must be... Yes, that's right. There's only really one person he could be. My lord, the defense believes that it can reveal Mr. Boone's true identity to the court.
No, please, no.
Very well then, Counsel. What is the true identity?
Daily Vigil.
Take that!
Your real name is actually Mr. Vigil, innocent. Mr. Daily Vigil.
I don't recall that name, Counsel. Who is Mr. Vigil?
The name I encountered yesterday, my lord, has to do with a certain client of Mr. Herlock Sholmes. A young gentlewoman came to the detective asking him to locate her missing husband. The woman in this photograph, in fact, this is Mr. Vigil. That's why he didn't contact her all night or send any word, because he was kidnapped. What? From what I understand, you haven't returned home since the night before the inspector was found dead. But of course, on that night, you were being held captive by the two red-headed League men. Last night, you were put up by the prosecution service in preparation for testifying in this trial, because we've been led to believe that you, Miss Venus, and Mr. Sandwich were all homeless. Being important witnesses in this case, we needed to know where we could find you, of course. And that explains why you've not only been able to return home, but unable to contact your wife, who's been beside herself with worry, waiting for you at the Vigil residence.
Now, just you hold on a minute, I don't like the first idea.
What I'm talking about? Really? It's a simple enough matter for you to confirm my suspicions. All we have to do is pull off that disguise.
No, please.
Bailiff, bring soap, a sponge, and a wash bowl at once. Mr. Rousseau and Mr. De Rossi will restrain the witness.
Oui, my lord. Si, my lord. My lord.
No, stop. Get off.
Is this a one-day trial?
Don't.
I'm sure I will see. Oh my gosh. You look a sight. You look worse for wear, don't you?
Well, we are now seeing your true features, I presume.
Oh, no, you look good now. Lift your head, sir, so the court can see your face.
It would appear that the defense counsel's assertion was entirely correct. This has all been a very elaborate deception. So witnesses tell the court, have you seen this man before?
I don't believe it, but... See, there is no question. This is the inspector we saw in the park.
Extraordinary!
On the day of the Red-Headed League enrollment, the man claimed to be Inspector Gregson who appeared before Mr. de Rousseau and Mr. de Rossi in the park. Was you disguised as the inspector, or rather, was you posing as the inspector in no disguise at all? Mr. Vigil was formerly employed as the chief warder at Barclay Prison.
Chief warder? Then your career had promise. Why, you would quite possibly become the future governor of the prison. What on earth do you have you been doing peddling tittle-tattle on Fresno Street?
Well, it's been 10 years since Mr. Vigil worked at the prison. 10 years. I'm really very dreadfully sorry about all this. Yes, it's true. I am Daily Vigil. Good night, Flarga. Have a wonderful night. Thank you for stopping in. Appreciate you. And you were the chief warder at Barclay Prison 10 years ago. So where did Mr. Hugh Boone come from? Boone is the other me. It's a name I invented.
Well, evidently there's a great deal under the surface here.
I'll explain everything. I'll tell you just how wretched my life has become.
This ought to be good.
As you say, it was 10 years ago now that my employment at as Barclay chief warder came to an end. Having left the prison service, I searched for some new occupation by which to earn a wage. But times were hard in London. I found no suitable engagements at all. In desperation one day, I turned my hand to selling wares at Fresno Street.
But your wife appears to know nothing of this.
She still maintains that you were the chief warder at Barclay Prison. I was utterly determined that my wife should not know of my failings, which is why I've never told her. I opened an account at the bank under the name of Hugh Boone, and I rented the cheapest room I could find on Fresno Street.
Scene of the crime we're investigating.
Yes, that's right. A place where I can emerge every morning at 8 as a squalid peddler and transform myself every evening at 5 into a well-dressed man about town before returning home. That quickly became my daily routine.
I was puzzled by the lack of furniture in the room, but that explains it. But why on earth didn't you just tell us this in the first place?
I have a wife, sir, and 2 sons, and without wishing to sound self-conceited, they regard me with some pride. I couldn't bring myself to disappoint them.
So instead you decided to conceal your occupation from them?
Yes. I've made such a terrible mess of everything.
Still, one thing doesn't add up. No matter how many tidbits of information you could sell to passing gentlemen, even at 6 pence apiece, you couldn't hope to match the salary you must have commanded as chief warder at the prison. Very true. To have kept your family in comfort despite 10 years of somewhat misbegotten employment.
That was all thanks to Inspector Gregson.
What? Inspector Gregson? What on earth?
It was some years after I'd invented Boone and begun my other life as a street seller. He, the inspector that is, recognized me one day.
You mean to say the victim was an acquaintance of yours?
I knew him from my time working at the prison. When he saw what I'd become, he was deeply troubled for me and my family, and from that day forward he visited me on Fresno Street with increasing regularity.
Oh my god, Gregson, what a good guy.
Then one day, he asked me if I would carry out a secret assignment for him.
Okay, no, it wasn't just generosity, but a secret. What was it?
I was to impersonate the inspector.
What? Impersonate him?
Oh my god, really? We always met in that little room so the inspector could brief me.
Visit the workspace tomorrow and take a statement from the proprietress.
There was always something along those lines, surveillance work, interviewing people, on those occasions. He would lend me his identification so people would believe who I was. My instructions were to make an impression, to let people know that Inspector Gregson had been at work. And for those services, he compensated me financially.
Scotland Yard Inspector willingly relinquished his identification into your care with intent to deceive. That, as I'm sure I need not point out, is a very serious criminal offense.
But why? What was the point of you impersonating him? I truthfully do not know. All I can say is that the inspector warned me on numerous occasions.
Now remember, Vigil, I need your solemn word. You don't blab about this to anyone, alright? Ever. Even if I end up a croaker.
In time, he started to bring papers with him into the room as well. It became something of a second office for him.
So,
In fact, the person who declared himself to be Inspector Gregson at the park on Lime Street was really... Yes, it was me, acting on the inspector's orders. As usual, I removed my boon disguise, and then went, as instructed, to the park, armed with the inspector's identification book. It never occurred to me that the bruise on my neck might give me away. Wow. Wowie, wow, wow. I didn't expect that twist. Well, it would seem this confession completely destroys the defense's case.
explain yourself, Prosecutor Asogi.
My learned friend's assertion was at fault. The victim was killed in another location on the day before his corpse was discovered, at the hands of these two red-headed league men when they imprisoned the inspector. But no, that can't be. After all, it was the inspector who went to the park that day, it was me. Oh goodness.
Finally, we have clarity. We had nothing to do with the murder of the inspector. And merci, Monsieur de la Défense, for proving it. What?
Oh my god, really? I almost forgot we were doing a case here, honestly.
Order, order, order! Indeed, it would appear that we have reached a de facto conclusion of sorts. These witnesses had no involvement in the murder of the victim. As proven somewhat ironically by the defense. I hereby call an end to the cross-examination.
Hold it!
Pardon me, my lord, but with your permission, I would like to pose one further question to the witness.
What question, Counsel?
It concerns the events of 10 years ago. I believe you would have been present at a very significant execution that was carried out at the time. 10 years ago? The execution of the professor, Genshin Asogi. I want to know exactly what your involvement was. Oh. Answer me, man.
One moment, Counsel. Is this related to the current case?
Naturally. It is the prosecution's belief that this case and the events of 10 years ago are inextricably linked.
Does the defense concur, Counsel?
Kazuma, you're not yourself. You're not as calm and collected as usual. Poor Kazuma-sama, no wonder he's acting this way. Mr. Vigil's memories of what happened 10 years ago would tell the tale of Genshin Asogi's last moments. His own father. I know, I do understand that, but even so... Prosecutor Asogi, do you genuinely believe that this question requires an answer in order to learn the truth behind Inspector Gregson's death? I need you to trust me. Please. Very well. The defense has no objection.
I see. In that case, you will answer the question, witness.
The truth is, I remember very little of that time.
You've forgotten?
I'm sorry to say, yes. As I said, I resigned from my role in prison. That's a lie. But for some peculiar reason, my memory of the events leading up to that moment is extremely hazy. Does that not strike you as strange, Mr. Naruto? Sorry. Well, 10 years is a long time. To have forgotten the reason why he left such an important job. Yes, you're right. Not only that, Mr. Vigil's claim contradicts what we already know. The human spirit is a fragile thing. It's broken all too easily, which is why we have a tendency to wrap it up for protection. Sorry? The human spirit? I'm afraid I don't understand what you mean. When we experience pain and suffering that we feel unable to bear, we block it out, obliterate it from our memories, seal it away. But it never truly leaves us. If the seal is broken, the memories resurface, and when they do, that fragile spirit may finally be crushed. But I really don't... Kazuma-sama. But if it must be crushed, then so be it, because the truth will not stay buried. It's coming out, one way or another. Right, now I understand. It's clear what his intentions are. He needs to expose the truth at any cost. Perhaps if I pointed out the contradiction of what Mr. Vigil claimed earlier, it might cause some crucial memories to return to him. But should I? Do it. I have no idea how this is going to go, but this is a court of law and I have a duty to pursue the truth. Mr. Vigil, I'd like you to look at this. Evidence that clearly contradicts your version of events. Isn't it this? Yeah, the dismissal notice.
Take that!
I was wondering why do you even use this? Just a few moments ago, you made the following statement. I resigned from my role at the prison 10 years ago. Well, yes. In other words, you claim to have left the post of chief warder of your own volition. Well, yes, of course. Why? Tell me. Do you remember seeing this document before? No, I don't. This is a dismissal notice ordering the immediate termination of a prison staff member's employment. Dismissal notice? And the name on the notice is yours, Mr. Vigil. What? 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 It's mine. You didn't resign from the prison service at all. For some reason, you were dismissed as chief warder from Barclay. No, there's been some mistake. I'm sure. I'm sure I tendered my resignation. This dismissal notice is nonsense. Isn't it? You were forcibly dismissed. There must have been good reason. Clearly, you did something. Mr. Vigil, it's time to break the seal and have you remember. According to the few remaining records, the final execution that you supervised was on 17th June 10 years ago. And on that day, something very serious took place at Barclay Prison. 17th of June? Was that the professor's execution? Professor? As you were the chief warder, it stands to reason that you would have been present throughout the proceedings. It does sound familiar. And yet, that execution never took place. The convict, ostensibly executed that day, later re-emerged from his grave. The convict came back to life. In the cemetery in the middle of the night, there was a witness. However, the witness claims that a moment after he saw the convict clambering out of his grave, a gunshot rang out from over his shoulder, and the bullet pierced the professor's chest, killing him instantly. Those may have been the professor's actual last moments. Yes. Seeing as you were in charge of overseeing executions at the time, you must know the truth about what really happened. It's in your head, somewhere deep down. Well, Chief Warder Daily Vigil, I know there are memories in your head that can explain what happened on 17th June 10 years ago, and now it's time for you to drag them up. Mr. Vigil? Yes, the whole prison. It was complete chaos. The prisoner escaped. He was killed in the cemetery. The shocking news ripped through Barclay like a hurricane. What? Order. Do you mean to say, Mr. Vigil, that your memories of the time have returned? In my head, it's like some floodgates have been opened. The images, screams. Oh my goodness. Papers. There were reports, articles about a man who'd seen a ghost. Yes, Enoch Drebber. But surely those reports were exaggerated. There were traces at the scene. Traces of what? In Lowgate Cemetery, at plot number 139, blood, lots of blood. That's where the man was buried, of course. Obviously, something terrible had happened there.
depths of conspiracy and depravity from which this tale is emerging are quite staggering.
I've reviewed the police records from that time extensively. A thorough investigation was conducted by Scotland Yard to ascertain how the convict managed to escape in the first place. And the conclusion reached by the investigating team was that a member of the prison staff must have been involved.
Are you suggesting that a prison warder abetted the man's bid for freedom?
Yes, and I was suspected of doing it, of using that mass murderer's execution as a way to help him escape.
You did what?
I remember now, the horror of it all is coming back to me. One evening, a few days after the execution, some detectives came to the prison. I was called to the governor's office at the top of the watchtower.
I'm so sorry, Daly. This is a serious business, but I cannot help you now. As chief warder, you're responsible for overseeing the execution of all, right? Well, it seems the fellows at Scotland Yard want to have a few wee words with you about it. You'd better pack your things, laddie. You're to attend in person.
As soon as he told me that, my mind just went completely blank, and the next thing I knew, the professor, the most hated killer in our country's history. And I let him escape. I'm finished. My life is over.
Order! Bailiff, fetch a doctor at once! Court is adjourned for today with immediate effect.
Damn, that's how they're gonna do it. Okay.
So, with Mr. Vigil's collapse, proceedings came to an abrupt end for the day, once again overshadowed by the legacy of that notorious killer, appearing like a cursed ghost ship on a foggy ocean. Lord Van Zeeks, Mr. Vigil, Kazuma, and Gregson. All of them bound by invisible chains anchored to the same wreckage in the murky depths of the past. But the miraculous light that had been trying to cut through the gloom and shine on those tragic events was playing on the edges of the truth at last.
Okay, it is to be continued. Okay, I was wondering how they were gonna possibly continue this for another day. Alright, well, we know what that means. It's time to end it. Thank you all so much for coming out. I really appreciate it. I love this game, dude. This is such an incredible experience, and I'm so glad I get to be able to be recording it and just having a great time with it, with you guys. Yeah, I guess there's like the stuff that I can do. The Twitter, you know, I got a Twitter. You can follow it if you want. That's pretty cool. I am an absolute mess, so you know that's fun. Discord. Yeah, you know what a Discord is. I'm sure you all have it. And lastly, twitch.tv/smile team/smiletime. Follow the Smile Time charity Twitch team because all of these streamers are incredible and we cannot wait to put on the show for you in December. That's right, in case you somehow missed it, which I'm sure you did not, Smile Time is back on. It is on again December 17th through 19th, I believe the dates are. 11 a.m. to 2 a.m. each day. And they're all, you'll see so many incredible streamers there, including the people on this list, and we cannot wait. So it's for a great cause, supporting Prevent Cancer, and we hope to see you there. Anyway, let's find somebody to raid, shall we? Let's see who I can raid this time. Alright, let's raid Solid Plasma, I think. Actually, no, he's playing Psychonauts 2 and I don't want to. Let's raid Farron. I haven't raided Farron in a really long time, so we'll do that. Raid message will probably be something along the lines of, I don't actually know what a good raid message is this time. It's just gonna be WTF. WTF is this game, man. And that's gonna be it. So let us do /raid Fahrenheit, and I will catch you guys next time on Sunday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, where we will finish this case, probably. I can't imagine it going on for another day, so that's gonna be that. And again, thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time. And oh, I'm gonna have to split the VOD into more pieces than usual, so that'll be fun. See y'all later. Bye.